Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I go by the name of Kryptinite, and today we're going to be talking about E3. We're going to be talking about expos. We're going to be talking about the format of these expos as it relates to the video game industry and whether or not physically being at these shows still has some weight to the consumers and the producers as well. So a little history into, I feel like, one of the biggest expos, which is E3. That is the Electronic Entertainment Expo. So like I said, this is a trade show for the video game industry, and the big tentpole companies that normally headline these expos, as far as we've known for the past couple of years, have been Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox/Microsoft. So as I've been following E3, I've always liked to watch the show, even if I was watching online. It just made you feel, as a fan of just the video game industry, but more so if you are a fan of a specific company, that the company is doing everything it can to help you get the most out of your consoles. You get trailers from these trade shows. You get sometimes there's hardware releases, and other times there's also big discounts whenever these trade shows do roll around. E3 more specifically falls around June. I think around June 10th, June 11th. The date might change from time to time, over the year, but that's normally when E3 happens. And yeah, like I said, the days leading up to E3 are normally filled with hype. A lot of companies are really pushing new IP. They're really pushing DLC for games that already have been released. There's some price drops for games that have been released as well. And it's just all around, it's just a good vibe around that week. So where it really comes to a point is now these trade shows, at least physically being at these trade shows, seems to be dying down as of the last, I want to say, 2 years. More and more developers are starting to pull out of the physically being at these trade shows, only because it doesn't really make any financial sense for them, especially if they are third party or second party. Not so much for second party, but more for third party developers to show up at a show like E3. Especially if they're independent, there's just way too much money to set up a booth and have people come and play a demo, while in the next room Sony is having this big blow up with orchestras, and it just doesn't really make sense for them. And so now more and more of these developers are starting to do their own little showcases. At least that's where it started to move as of the last 2 years. More developers started to make their own little showcases that would happen sporadically throughout the year, and fans, they reciprocated to this. They felt like it was good because now you can actually go to a certain company that you enjoy. For instance, Rockstar Games. If you only really like to play Rockstar games, you can go to a Rockstar trade show, see what they have to offer, and you don't really have to be mixed up with everything else throughout the evening. So as I was saying, now the bigger companies, that's being Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox, are starting to do their own trade shows that has passed through E3. So Sony had one, I'll get into that, had one in December called Sony Experience, which is a PlayStation Experience actually, which is just a PlayStation-centric trade show. They would show you the upcoming releases, updates on games that they already have out, so that'd be DLCs or price drops, and trailers for different sort of things. Also, they would push some of the more niche hardware that would be like VR, for instance, in the PS Vita or the portable station. Okay, back into the whole fanfare of E3. So, like I said, the bigger companies are starting to pull out, and this started first with Nintendo. Nintendo decided to do a thing called Nintendo Direct, which is now, they are no longer at any E3. You won't find a Nintendo physically at an E3. They will not have a booth. What they've opted for is the Nintendo Direct, which is like a live streamed trade show that they do now, and that is spaced out during the year depending on if they have something major that they want to release or not. And fans really like this because Nintendo's always been that type of company that is more geared to those that aren't into, well, I guess they are serious gamers, but then those that aren't into your traditional type of games that are definitely where indie type of games and developers flock to Nintendo to show you a different way of gaming instead of your like fighting games or shooting games. Nintendo has always advocated for those games that just take you to a different type of world that you wouldn't think. It's like the Disney of the video game realm, if you'd ask me. But yes, so Nintendo was the first really to move into the digital space of having a trade show. And following suit is now Sony with what they call State of Play. The first State of Play was, well, as of this recording, yesterday. And I want to say that for the first live stream trade show, it went pretty well. You know, it was around, it didn't overstay its welcome. It was about 30 minutes or so. And it was basically just multiple trailers with minimal explanation in between as to what these games were, to what platform they'll be coming to, and what you can expect from more of these kind of live streamed trade shows. I like it, especially if we're going to be getting multiples of them throughout the year. I think that it will catch on, and being a Sony fan myself, I am looking forward to listening to what they have as first party developed games, you know, games that came right straight out of Sony, because that's where I feel like Sony really shines, with titles like The Last of Us, with titles like that's coming out now, which is Days Gone. And I feel like that's going to be a sleeper hit. People are not ready for what Days Gone is going to be, but these type of first party studios and first party developed games are something that Sony can really shine in. I feel like the State of Play is going to really give us a lot more of that as time goes on. So yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this new digital form of trade show that Sony is doing. I give you a little history on the reason why they might be moving into it, that being E3. And let me know what you think. Is this the new wave of how developers and companies are going to be moving? Is it going to be the new, because live streaming is quite big, so do you think that it's going to be the new buzz for these bigger type of franchises and companies? So yeah, thanks for watching my video. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Kevin Kryptinite. Bye guys. you.